There's no one more Nyad than you.
So I saw Nyad at the Chicago International Film Festival. Stars Annette, Jodie Foster, and it was not great. Hello everybody, welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Trevor here, and yeah, we're talking about Nyad. It is the first narrative film from Jimmy Chin and Elizabeth Chai versus Haley. I think I'm saying that correctly, but I'm not sure. And it's a biopic about Diana Nyad. So Diana Nyad, she used to be like a really good swimmer, and that was like 30 years ago, and she was great at swimming, but then she couldn't swim from Cuba to Florida, and that's like the one thing that she wanted to do in her life. So now she's 60 and she's got to overcome the odds and swim from Cuba to Florida, and she'll be the first person ever to do it, and it's going to be this great story. And spoiler alert, everybody, she does, because that's why the movie exists. And you know, we've seen this movie so many times before. It's a pretty basic, you know, inspirational sports film, and I don't know, I really think with a film like this, it really has to earn every single emotional beat. Because like if you know the story, you know she made the swim. Even if you don't know the story, it'd be kind of weird if they made a biopic about her and then she just like didn't complete the swim, especially when that's what they're building up to in the third act the entire time, and there's absolutely no like nuance or complexity to these characters, so they aren't going to gain anything else from the story. It's quite obvious what's going to happen the entire time. So if you're going to telegraph from, you know, miles away exactly what the third act is, because, you know, history spoilers, you have to earn those beats. And this film really doesn't, because as I said, this film isn't very nuanced. It isn't very complex. Almost every single like emotional piece of the film, everything the film's gonna leave you with, it all hinges on, is she gonna make the swim and the end of the third act of the film. And if you're gonna make that work, you have to be a little bit creative, and I don't think that this film is that creative, unfortunately. Like there's some like flashback stuff that they try to do like while she's swimming, which I think could be interesting. I think it could even be even more interesting if you just focus on that final swim, and then it's just like you see, you know, the past attempts of the swim, and you know some of like pieces from her past, like in like those darker moments in the swim where she's maybe getting close to blacking out, and you tell like complete narratives through those. But the way that this film has a structure where it shows like a little bit before the swim, and then all the training, and then every single swim, and then there's like flashbacks during each swim, it just gets to the point where it feels repetitive and also without a purpose. Like when we go back to her childhood, and it's dealing with things like you know, some like sexual assault stuff that happened in her past, like that could be something to like interesting to explore within the film in its own right. But what purpose did it serve here? It I don't know, it felt just very like scattershot, like it was just throwing around random ideas and random pieces of Diana Nyad's life, and it didn't really feel like there was a lot of focus as far as what the film wanted to do. Like I don't know, it felt like the filmmakers understood that, like, yeah, this isn't that interesting if it's just let's see if she makes the swim, but then they couldn't come up with anything else that was more interesting. So it was just like lots of random bits and pieces that didn't entirely have a bunch of like thematic cohesion. And I think all of these pieces just feeling like very forced and shoehorned in. I do think a lot of that comes down to this filmmaking duo. They're first time filmmakers, right? And I think that that's to be expected. First time narrative filmmakers, I should say. And they've done documentaries in the past. And honestly, I feel like this would be better served as a documentary. Like I wasn't like, you know, head over heels for Free Solo or The Rescue. They're two documentaries that at least I'm familiar with. But I like them. I think that they're solid pieces. And Nyad just felt like it felt like a narrative film that desperately wanted to be a documentary. Because there would be all these sequences where it's all just like archival footage, and they'd intercut different, like, you know, pieces of like found footage and things in with the narrative bits, and that's where it felt like the filmmakers like had the most or had the strongest grasp, I should say, on what type of like visual identity they wanted the film to have. And at that point, just go with it. Like, I don't understand why this needed to be a narrative film and not a documentary, except for the performances, I guess, which some people liked. I'm sorry, I didn't think that they were good. And I think a lot of it comes down to the dialogue that they were given. And like, I don't know how many people could make some of this dialogue work. It is just so bland and cheesy, and it just like it takes you out of the movie every single time you hear it. Like, it doesn't sound like a real person. It sounds like you asked like ChatGPT to like write something inspirational every single time a character speaks. It's really really bad. So I can't really fault Benning and Foster for that. Like they do what they can with it. But it's just really, really unfortunate for both of them, because it just isn't good. I'm sorry. But no, Chin and Versailles, like, they tried some things. I don't think it's entirely fair to just call it cookie cutter. Like, attempts were made. There's some hallucination sequences that I won't get into because I do believe that they should be experienced on your own, and you should just have to go through that by yourself. But I understand what was being attempted, but it is one of the most unintentionally hilarious scenes I've seen in the film so far this year. There is some visual effects that are I don't know, it's something. You'll just have to see the film for yourself. If you have seen it at this point, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything that substantial to say about this film because I don't really think the film is that substantial. So I'm sitting at about a 3 out of 10 on this one, unfortunately. Really didn't think it was great. We can talk about awards for a second. It's just Benning or Foster. Like, if this film is getting anything, it's Benning or Foster. Maybe they can sneak in and get like a random Golden Globe or SAG nomination. But I don't think that this film is going to come anywhere close to the Oscars, if I'm being honest. I'd be quite surprised if it picked up a single nomination. Like, if either Benning or Foster were able to slide in at a precursor like SAG or Globes, I wouldn't be entirely shocked. But like, if you think Benning is winning, just know, like, I would be, again, surprised if she got a nomination at this point. This isn't really something that we have to think about as far as awards. But those are my thoughts on Nyad. You can follow me on social media to hear more of my thoughts from the Chicago International Film Festival, and links in the description, as well as supporting the SAG strike. But until next time, when we're going to have another film festival review, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe, and goodbye.